In 1661, a French finance minister named Nicolas Fouquet threw the most extravagant party Europe had ever witnessed. 17,000 guests, fireworks choreographed by the greatest artists of the age, and a feast so opulent that the young King Louis XIV sat in stunned silence, realizing his own minister lived better than he did. 3 weeks later, Fouquet was arrested and spent the remaining 19 years of his life rotting in a prison fortress. He was brilliant, connected, and powerful, but he never understood the invisible thresholds of wealth, the same thresholds that keep most people stuck today. Fast forward to a Tuesday morning in late 2026. You're driving to work, running 5 minutes late, and suddenly that dreaded check engine light pops on. Your heart sinks because you know fixing it might cost $300, but you have exactly $42 in your bank account until Friday. You turn up the radio to drown out the rattling noise and pray. 2 months later, the car breaks down on the highway, the repair is now $2,000, and you lose $300 in wages from missed shifts. That initial inability to pay $300 has spiraled into a $2,500 catastrophe. This isn't bad luck, it's a mathematical trap, the suffocating cost of not having money. My name is Alex, and I spend way too much time thinking about wealth psychology, compound mathematics, and the invisible equations that keep most people running on hamster wheels. If you feel like traditional investing advice sounds great in theory but never works when you actually need it, subscribe and like this video. It helps more than you think. By the end of this script, you will understand the exact mechanics of how to start with just $100 in 2026 and why the financial industry has zero incentive to tell you the truth about how wealth is actually built. The systemic antagonist, the work scam. Before we invest your $100, we have to perform a forensic audit on your life. Most people think their value is defined by their annual salary. If you make $65,000 a year, that's roughly $31 an hour. But looking at revenue without looking at expenses is how companies go bankrupt. When it comes to your labor, you are the product, and the cost of selling yourself to an employer is astronomical. Let's look at a hypothetical worker named James. James earns $31 an hour, but after federal tax, state tax, and FICA, that's instantly shaved down to $24. Now subtract the work-related costs, the commute, gas, maintenance, insurance, the cost of appearance, business casual clothes, dry cleaning, and the convenience tax, the $5 coffee and the $15 lunch because he's too fried to meal prep. Then there is the decompression spending, the Friday night drinks and impulsive vacations taken just to numb the pain of the job. Now, look at the time. James showers, shaves, and irons his shirt, 30 minutes, commutes, 60 minutes round trip, and spends 30 minutes decompressing at home. James isn't working 40 hours a week, he's dedicating 60 hours to his employment. When you divide his whittled down net income by his true hours, that $31 an hour evaporates into $11 or $8 an hour. This is the work scam, a high-churn, low-margin business model where you are selling yourself at a loss. To start investing with $100, you must first stop the accounting fraud you are committing against yourself. The Boots Theory and the Poverty Premium. The second reason your $100 feels like it can't buy anything is the Boots Theory of socioeconomic unfairness. Imagine two people, one rich, one poor. The rich man buys a pair of $50 high-quality leather boots that last 10 years. The poor man can only afford $10 boots, so he buys a cheap pair that falls apart every season. Over 10 years, the poor man spends $100 on boots, double what the rich man spent, and he still has wet feet. In 2026, this poverty premium is everywhere. If you have $50, you buy a mega pack of toilet paper at a warehouse club for 50 cents a roll. If you only have $4, you buy a 4-pack at the bodega for $1.50 a roll. You are literally paying 3 times more for the same product simply because you couldn't afford the bulk price. The rich get paid interest, the poor pay interest. Banks made billions last year in overdraft fees, almost exclusively from people with less than $1,000 to their names. To be broke is the most expensive hobby you can have. The hidden landscape of 2026. You are entering the market at a strange time. We are witnessing the great wealth transfer, where $124 trillion will change hands over the next 2 decades. This is the largest transfer of wealth in human history, 5 times the US national debt. But while trillions move, the average person is being sold a concentrated bet. In 2026, the S&P 500, the thing every advisor tells you to buy, has 30% of its value concentrated in just 7 tech companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla. In the 1990s, the top 7 companies made up only 15%. You are being told you're diversified, but your entire retirement is supported by 7 wooden beams. If 3 of those beams crack, like the Nifty 50 stocks did in the 1970s, you could face 25 years of zero returns. Polaroid fell 91%, Xerox fell 71%. These were the safest companies in America. In 2026, blind index investing is a game where the rules are rigged against the passive participant. The 3 invisible thresholds. To navigate this, you must understand the 3 milestones identified by the Medici family in 15th century Florence. The breathing line: this is your first $100,000 in investable assets. Below this threshold, compound interest is essentially a lie. If you have $10,000 and earn 8%, you make $800 a year, about $66 a month. It's nice, but it's not life-changing. It doesn't even cover your streaming subscriptions. But at $100,000, that 8% is $8,000 a year, $666 a month. Now your money has its own personality and momentum. The multiplication line: this is $500,000 in investable assets. At this level, you develop walk-away power. You are functionally immune to unemployment. If you get fired, it's an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. Your money is now your most productive employee, working 24 hours a day without complaint. The immortality line: this is $2.5 million. This is the inversion point where your capital is more productive than your time. At this stage, working a 40-hour week for a salary is actually an inefficient use of your resources because your money earns more than your labor ever could. The puddle phase of your first $100. If you are starting with $100, you are in the puddle phase. Imagine trying to fill a swimming pool with a garden hose. For the first several hours, you're just creating a puddle that looks like a leak. Most of the water evaporates in the sun. This is the stretch from $0 to $100,000, and it is the hardest part of the entire process. It is slow, boring, and the growth seems pathetic compared to your contributions. 90% of people quit during the puddle phase because they do the math and decide the sacrifice isn't worth the $200 in gains they see in year 1. But once the pool has a few feet of water, every new gallon makes the level rise visibly. The pool starts helping you fill it. Step 1. The tactical $100 strategy. So, how do you deploy your first $100 in 2026? You don't put it into a hot stock tip. You use it to buy your way out of the poverty premium. The best investment you can make isn't the S&P 500, it's escaping the mathematical penalties of the system. If you have credit card debt at 22% interest, paying that off is a guaranteed 22% return. No stock picker can promise you that. The $1,000 buffer: your singular mission is to reach $1,000 in a high-yield savings account. This $1,000 is a weapon. It turns a flat tire from a financial crisis into a minor annoyance. It allows you to increase your insurance deductibles, which lowers your monthly premiums, effectively giving yourself a raise. The vampire audit: look for convenience spending. If you spend $5 a day on coffee because you're too tired to brew it at home, that is $150 a month. Invested at 7% over 30 years, that is $200,000. You aren't just drinking coffee, you are drinking your retirement. Real hourly wage calculation: write your real hourly wage, e.g., $8.50, on a sticky note and put it on your credit card. The next time you see a $100 pair of shoes, ask, is this worth 12 hours of sitting in traffic and missing my family? That friction will save you more than any budget app. Step 2. Minimalist money rules. To keep your $100 growing, you must adopt the habits of the prodigious accumulators of wealth. Pause. These are people like the plumber with $2 million who drives a 10-year-old truck, rather than the doctor earning $400,000 who is 2 paychecks from bankruptcy. Rule 1. Calculate cost per use. A $200 jacket worn twice costs $100 per wear. A $400 jacket worn 200 times costs $2 per wear. The expensive item is actually cheaper. Rule 2. The replacement test. If an item in your house disappeared today, would you spend money to replace it? If the answer is no, it's clutter that is stealing your mental energy. Rule 3. The 24-hour rule. Most desires for objects fade within a day. If you wait 24 hours before any non-essential purchase, you will eliminate 70% of impulse spending. Rule 4. Never upgrade out of boredom. A phone that still makes calls and runs apps is not broken just because a newer version exists. Upgrading functional items is wealth destruction disguised as progress. Step 3. Avoiding the 2026 traps. As your $100 grows into $1,000 and then $10,000, you will face 2 major traps: the car payment trap and the high-income poverty trap. The average new car payment has crossed $700 per month. People are taking out 84-month or even 120-month loans just to make the monthly number look affordable. This is wealth destruction with heated seats. Over 7 years, you might spend $130,000 on a truck that will be worth $15,000. If you invested that $800 monthly payment at 8% instead, you'd have over $70,000 in 7 years. Similarly, the high-income poverty trap catches 40% of people earning over $500,000. They earn more, so they spend more, but they save the same percentage of nothing. They optimize for lifestyle, the leased BMW, and the $8,000 mortgage, rather than wealth. Wealth is measured by optionality, not accumulation. The person earning $80,000 but spending $45,000 has more wealth than the person earning $200,000 but spending $195,000. The 2026 Investing Order of Operations. Once you have your $1,000 buffer and have escaped the high-interest debt, here is the smartest order to invest your money. Employer match. This is a guaranteed 100% return. If your employer matches 6%, you contribute exactly 6%. Nothing else in the world provides a 100% immediate return. HSA, Health Savings Account. This is the Swiss Army knife of tax accounts. It's a triple tax win: tax-free contribution, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses. In 2026, healthcare in retirement is a guaranteed expense. Use this to make it disappear from your budget. Low-cost index funds, with a twist because of the 2026 concentration risk. Don't just buy the S&P 500. Look into equal weight index funds or international markets that are trading at 15-year lows compared to US tech. The identity shift. The hardest part isn't saving the money, it's developing the identity of a saver. The person with $10,000 is closer to financial independence than a broke person earning $200,000 because the saver has developed the most important skill: keeping money. The walking away philosophy. The transition from $0 to $20,000 is the first major game changer. At $20,000, you have roughly 3 to 6 months of breathing room. This changes your demeanor at work. You negotiate from a position of strength because you are no longer one missed paycheck from disaster. Wealth is not about hitting home runs, it's about not striking out. The person who parks their 2011 Honda Civic in the lot while having $4.2 million in index funds is the person who understands the game. They chose social invisibility because looking wealthy advertises what you have, while looking poor protects it. In late 2026, the lease on the dollar is up, and the global financial rules are changing. You can choose to be a passive consumer of your own life, or you can start building a gap between your income and your expenses. That gap is where your freedom lives. Wealth is about freedom, not equity. Tell me in the comments, which milestone are you attacking right now? Is it the $1,000 emergency buffer, or are you fighting through the puddle phase toward your first $100,000? I read every comment, and am curious where you are on this journey.